Okay. What can I call you? Mecca. All right. Mrs. Mrs. Peter. All right. So she has gotten the meaning of IELTS. How do you give us the meaning of IELTS?
National English Language Testing. I don't know what the S is.
System.
System.
International English Language Testing System. Now, it is one of the most um, popular English language tests across the globe. There are several other types of English language proficiency tests. You may have heard of TOEFL, Test of English um, as a foreign language. You may have heard of GRE, GMAT, ACT, SAT, OET, PTE, Duolingo. Okay.
Yeah, because at the end about GMAT, what's the difference between GMAT and the rest?
Um, Gina, please switch on the sound system. Give us the mic. GMAT, they are English proficiency tests tailored specifically for or towards applicants that are going for business courses.
Business courses.
Do you understand? Anyone that wants to do masters in business admin, GMAT. There are schools that take this. US schools would demand for GMAT or GRE, it depends.
For business.
Business courses, accounting. What is it? Huh? Okay, so this guy is popular. So let's understand how this guy plays out. IELTS is an English proficiency test that is conducted by three bodies across the globe. And this will be the British Council, we have IDP, and we have Cambridge. International Development Program. Okay, so these are the three bodies that conduct IELTS across the globe, right? You may choose to register under any of these guys. It doesn't matter. If you have your results, you would see at the bottom part of the result, the certificate itself. You will see these three names there. So they conduct the same IELTS exam. The only difference is the name of the administrator and the signature. It's just like someone writing WAEC in Nigeria, and maybe you write it in Lagos, another person writes in Abuja, another person writes, you're still writing the same WAEC exam, right? You get the same results. So that's how it runs. Now, the IELTS exam are of two categories. So we have the standard IELTS, and we have the UKVI IELTS. The standard IELTS is the class of IELTS test that is globally recognized and acceptable. by institutions across the nations of the world except UK, because UK has its own IELTS. The standard IELTS is recognized and accepted by institutions across the countries of the world except the UK. Although there are some organizations or institutions in the UK that still accept the standard, but most institutions in the UK that has the policy that requires you to write their specific IELTS, then you must write their own specific type of IELTS. Now, under the standard IELTS, there are two types. So we have the standard academic IELTS, and we have the standard general training IELTS. Okay?
Yes, concerning
The mic is there.
let me
I think so. People are online too.
um, based on the academic. Yeah, I just want to know the difference between the academic and general. What makes them different?
Okay. Now, the academic IELTS is the type of IELTS that you write if you are applying to study abroad. So it is specifically for the academic, for applications to study in institutions outside your home country. Now, but there is a little twist about the use of academic IELTS results. The twist is, apart from the fact that it is primarily meant for studies, nurses and medical doctors use the academic for jobs, right? They use the academic IELTS to apply for jobs. Only them. But every other profession, you can use it for jobs. Doctors can use the academic for job application. But basically, it's meant for study applications, right? Fine. Now let's go to the general training IELTS. The standard general training IELTS is specifically meant for job applications by any other profession outside nursing and medicine. You can use it for nursing job. You can use it for doctor's job application. No. General training. But you can use it for job application if you are an accountant, you are a caregiver. That's what you need. Right? So it's specifically for jobs. Please note the difference. Academic for study, but with exceptions for nurses and medical doctors. Then general training for jobs specifically. Now let's proceed. We also have the UKVI IELTS. There are three categories of results or exams that you can file for under the UKVI IELTS. And these would include UKVI Academic IELTS, and we have UKVI General Training IELTS, and then we have UKVI life skills A1, B2, and the likes. Okay? So let's understand what they are for. The UKVI means United Kingdom Visa and Immigration. So it's specifically for UK. You can't use the UKVI for any other country, just for UK. So if your pursuit for jobs is tailored towards UK alone, don't write standard. If you even want to apply to work in the UK for any reason, you cannot use the standard. You must write their own UKVI. If you want to apply for jobs in Canada, UK, and other countries, that means you're going to write the two exams. So you write standard and you write UKVI. Do you understand this? Now, let's assume you want to study in the UK. You have to write the UKVI academic IELTS, not the standard academic, because they won't accept it. Except some of those universities or institutions that accept the standard. But you need to be sure. Be sure if the policy of that university accepts standard. Because the standard IELTS is cheaper than UKVI. That's why some people might want to write that, but not knowing that it may not be accepted. So you'll be spending more money. So for you to write this guy to apply in the UK, you must ensure that the university accepts it. Else, please write the UKVI academic IELTS. The same twist that happened in the standard academic was a twist. The standard academic was a twist.
Is it for UK?
No, the standard academic IELTS. I established that there's a twist in the use of the result. Perfect. So that same twist also applies for UKVI academic. Doctors who wish to work in the UK, nurses who wish to work in the UK can write the UKVI academic IELTS for jobs. But primarily, it's meant for study applications. Then, the UKVI general training is also meant for what? For jobs, strictly in the UK. Then we also have the UKVI Life Skills A1. UKVI Life Skills A1. What is it for? It is for spouse or spouses. It's actually the exam you write if you wish to reunite with your spouse who is resident in the UK already. So if your husband is in the UK and you want to join your husband permanently, you write the UKVI Life Skills A1. Right? It's an interesting test.
It's funny, I find that.
It's an interesting test because you don't go through the rigorous tests that the normal ones will take you.
Oh.
They just test you on your speaking and listening, that's all. And the whole exam is just about 10 to 15 minutes. You're done.
But you pay to write it.
Or is it free? You're going to pay.
This is funny.
You're going to pay, right? And the exam itself has just two phases. That's the result of the exam, has just two phases. It's not banded. It's not like the one you are preparing to write that has band score this, band score that. No. The life skills A1 is not banded. So if the two things involved is it's either you pass or you fail. Of course. You write again. You need to write so that you can meet your husband or you meet your wife.
It's funny. It's just very amazing.
All right, so these are the different categories of the IELTS test. Now, you need to understand that these IELTS, whether standard or UKVI IELTS, are written in two formats. The two formats are okay. These are the two formats that the IELTS exam can be written, right? Now, the first one is the paper-based test. The paper-based test. What is it about? This is the format that accepts, or that is a format where you get to write your IELTS test using your pen or pencil on a paper that will be provided for you, right? So the paper-based test, you scribble as nicely as you can. Nobody penalizes you if you have a terrible writing. But whatever be the case, no matter how bad your writing would appear, you are strongly encouraged to ensure that your writing is legible. Let the examiner be able to read whatever you write. Right? But as for how beautiful or how beautiful you can calibrate a write, there's no additional mark. Even if your writing is so fantastic, it doesn't add to it. Myself? Oh, thank you. My mommy taught me. Okay, so you just ensure that your writing is legible. Let people be able to read whatever you write. That's what matters. And then, of course, one good thing about the writing is, for instance, during your listening and reading test, you are allowed, or you may be allowed, to make use of your pencil to answer your questions on your answer sheet. So if there is the need to erase any wrong answer, just use your eraser and your answer sheet still comes out neat, right? But it's only during your writing test that you make use of the black pen. A black pen. Don't forget this. Now, your paper-based test has 4 testing areas: the listening, the reading, the writing, and the speaking. So you're going to be tested on 4 areas. You're going to be tested on your listening skill, your reading skill, your writing skill, and your speaking ability. Now, paper-based test does not conduct the 4 areas of the test in one day. You're going to be tested in 2 days. The first day may be your speaking test. You may be invited for your speaking test on the first contact. So you go and do your speaking before an examiner, just you and the examiner. That's the day you speak all the grammar you know. Right? And the speaking test does not last for so long. Just between 10 to 15 minutes, you're done. You go home. But within that 10 to 15 minutes, you can go to your village and come back. Some people have the tension, the level of tension that makes their brain go blank. Yeah, it happens. Simple question that you'll be asked, you don't know how to respond to it. You might have the answer right in your mind, but it can't come out. So you need to begin to Prepare for your speaking test. Practice. Practice. And one major thing you must remember about your speaking test is confidence. Don't joke with your confidence. Go with it intact, 101%. Don't let it go short. 101%. Then the listening, reading, and writing can happen after your speaking test. Although it may as well happen first before your speaking test. It depends. You may have to speak before your listening, reading, and writing, or you may have to speak after your listening, reading, and writing. It depends on the arrangement of the IELTS body. The result of your paper-based test comes out 13 days after. So 13 days after the exam, you get your result. Now understand how this 13 days works. Let's assume you had your speaking on a Thursday, and then your LRW happens on a Saturday. This is like how many days after? 2 days after. Now, the 13 days does not begin to count from this day. It begins to count from the day of your LRW.
That's the last. That is the last test.
Not really. Not really. Your speaking test does not determine the 13 days. It doesn't affect the 13 days. Now, you may also write your LRW on a Saturday, and then the next week, maybe by Monday or Tuesday, you now take on your speaking. Your 13 days does not start counting on this Tuesday. It still continues on Saturday.
Well, how did you receive
The results? It's there is provision to view it online first. But sometimes due to traffic or due to the overwhelming number of test takers, you might not get to view your results within that 13, 14, 15th day, because they upload the results in batches. So, but if your result comes out maybe on a Friday, you can go to the office on Monday to pick up your certificate, the original result.
Which office did they give us?
Where your speaking test will be done, or where the body that the office of the IELTS body that is conducting your exam.
No.
Yes, you will. You will. There will be email. I will give it to you. They will also send email correspondences to you, so you get to know their address, right? So results come out 13 days after. Now let's go to the computer-based test. The computer-based test is the format of the IELTS test that allows test takers to take on the test on a computer system. So logically, this is meant for people who are conversant with the computer. If you're not computer savvy, then you're just gambling with your 260K or more.
I feel like the computer has it. Can you remove an answer? Can you remove an answer you have answered before? Like if you made a mistake.
You can delete and write. If you are still treating the same section. If you are still on the same session, you can correct anything. But once it goes past that level, you need to face the next page. For instance, listening test. You can't be correcting something when the audio has gone to the next phase, right? So it has to be once you're done. Maybe if you still have time before you submit, you check what you need to correct, right? Now, if you are not computer savvy or literate, please don't go for the computer delivered test. That's gambling. Okay? Now let's look at some of the how it's been done, some of the ways or modus operandi of the computer delivered test. First, you don't get to write the test from the comfort of your home. No. you would definitely go to the exam center, then they'll allocate you to a computer system. So you are going to be supervised both by humans and the cameras everywhere. Right? Now, another thing is this. The computer-based test allows for candidates to get in between a sentence and add information they wish to. For instance, you've done typing this part, you are doing another paraphrase, another paragraph, and then you remember something that you should add. You can simply just click here and add, right? In paper-based, you can't do that, right? So that's one good thing about the computer-based test. Secondly, you can do copy and paste, right? So you may just copy and paste and edit, and that's fine. Also, you can design the background of your essay answer interface. It depends on how good you are on the system with computer.
Is it on Microsoft?
Yes, it's a Microsoft interface, but it's not directly Microsoft per se. It's like a writing, yes, on the system there. It's programmed, so you can do copy and paste. Meanwhile, you can highlight certain points if it's a reading test. You can highlight information on the passage and even place a note. Like you can drop a note that says, this is for question 1. Highlight it, this is for question 1. And do all of that. So when you want to go answer questions, you just check the highlights, know the question that the highlighted part covers. You simply go and put it, right? Very nice. But let's look at the other side of computer-based test. In everything that has good side, has aha. Now for the computer-based test, there is no word count. There is no, okay, that's a good thing. You can count, it can show you the number, the word count of what you are typing. It can show it to you. That's a good one too. But it does not correct wrong spellings. It is garbage in, garbage out. All right? You know, on a normal system, even on your gadgets, when you are typing and a spelling is incorrect on your phone, it will just signal red. But this time, for IELTS exam, it doesn't even show you any sign that it is wrong. No. That would be a cheat now, right? So, it will be a cheat on people doing paper-based. Because nobody signals them too. So it's supposed to be what you have, give. The computer test should not correct you, right? Okay, another thing about it is if you are slow in typing and the time allotted for a particular test elapses, it will shut down and submit on your behalf. So whether you completed it or not, it just shuts down. So you don't have access to the system anymore. Right? Then the computer-based test has 3 to 7 days for you to view your results. So between 3 to 7 days, you will see your results.
I think I prefer it to be longer.
You want it to be longer, so that you do more fasting and prayer before your results will come out.
I can just, because if you 7 days, like, you waking up and see your results.
Of course. What if you need it urgently? So you really need to understand these things so you don't make mistakes. Some persons go for computer-based because their agents or the school has indicated that they need the results faster. Then they just tell them, go and do the computer-based. What is there? It's nothing difficult. Is it not just to type something? It's to type something, yes. But there's a difference between typing from what is already written and typing from your head. What is already written, you don't need to rack your head. No stress, no pressure on your head. You just look and type. But when you need to think of the right thing, think of the right way to express it before you type.
So now to find it.
And exactly, you need to get the keys, locate the keys on the keyboard to type. So if your typing is
Not going to work.
before you finish one word, you see 10 minutes more, right? So it is better you just quietly go for the one you are comfortable doing. If you have a deadline, then plan ahead to meet up, right? Rather than putting yourself under unnecessary pressure, then you go to the hall, the question will put under pressure, it becomes disorganized, right? So these are the different formats that you need to know about the IELTS test. It's an interesting exam, but you actually need to understand how it plays out. IELTS exam is, I don't call it an English exam. It is not an English exam. It is an intellectual exam written in English language. There is the French version, yes, called TEF. TEF. So you need to actually know a lot. IELTS test is that exam that expects you to be jack of all trades, master of none. Because you can never tell where your question would come from. Can't tell. And you know, in normal institutional exams, there are course outlines, right? The outlines will help to guide where your areas of concentration while preparing for the exam. But IELTS does not have. The only outline you have is that you know that they're going to test you on listening, reading, writing, and speaking. That's all you know. But what the questions would be and where they will come from, you have no idea. So they expect you to be vast. Be vast in knowledge, be vast in exposure, be vast in your foundation. Right? That's where you begin to prepare for IELTS exam. Okay, so now let's look at the testing areas of IELTS. Okay, now there are 4 testing areas of IELTS test. The 4 testing areas are the listening, reading, writing, and speaking. Now, whether it is the paper-based test or the computer-based test, you will still go through these 4 areas. For instance, I told us earlier that the paper-based test does not conduct the 4 areas in one day, right? They come in 2 days. You can have your speaking before the listening, reading, and writing, or the speaking can come after the listening, reading, and writing, depending on the arrangement. But the computer-based test, you are taking the 4 in one day. The 4 testing areas will be done in one day. For instance, the computer-based test has usually have 2 sections or sessions of the CBT. So you can choose to sign up for the morning session or afternoon session. So if you're going for morning session of the computer-based test, that means you take your LRW, listening and writing, in the morning because the exam begins at 9 and maybe ends at about 11:30 or thereabout, or before 12. Then your speaking test will come afterwards. It could come by 1 or any other time. But if your computer-based test is scheduled for 1 p.m., definitely your speaking test will come in the morning. All right, before the, right? Now, the listening test lasts for 40 minutes only. Within this 40-minute period, you're meant to answer 40 questions, right? And each question carries 1 mark, okay? Then there are 4 sections of the listening test. So it's done by way of, on that day, it's not going to be open mic, right? It's not going to be open speaker. It's everyone will be given headsets. Everybody will have headphones on. So the audio will be played, and then you'll be giving the hard copy of the listening test, just like the way you practiced here on your mock test day. So you would have to listen, read, and write your answers within 40 minutes to cover 40 questions, right? Under 4 different sections. Then, after the listening test, the coordinators or supervisors will move around and collect the listening test question paper, because you will never go home with any of the materials. The way you came in, so shall you also go, right? Now, after the listening test, they will move around and pick up the question paper of your listening test and then distribute the reading test question. Now, your answer paper has 2 sides. It has the listening part and the reading part behind. It is usually written, listening, and then reading. So do not make the mistake of writing your listening test answers on the reading phase. You know what it means? Everything is incorrect. And then you do your reading on the listening, so you don't even have any answer for both listening and reading. So you need to be careful to ensure that you are treating your reading test on the side meant for it. Okay? So at the end of it, it's usually written boldly and is even color coded. I think the listening is usually for the green part. I'm not very sure, but then you would see it written repeatedly on your answer paper. The answer paper is usually small this way, and then it will have places where you are meant to write your name, indicate what you are writing, whether it is general or trained or academic. Write your sheet for your gender, write your exam number and all that. So after that, you will then see the space written listening, 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 written repeatedly. Then you will see the line.
For the exam number, how we
You will get that. It will be sent to you. So your answer sheet will be ruled all through and numbered 1 to 20, then 21 to 40. 1 to 20, 21 to 40. You understand? So the same thing on the other side. So this is written listening. So you're meant to treat your listening test on this part. Behind may be reading. So you treat the reading there. But at the end of your listening test, they are going to retrieve the listening test question and still leave this answer sheet with you. Do you know why? Perfect. Because the next exam is reading, and reading is on the back. So they will leave it with you. Then they will come around and distribute the reading question booklet. So the reading lasts for 60 minutes. Within 60 minutes, you get to answer 40 questions. And then each question carries 1 mark, right? And then you have 3 different passages or sections where you would have to read to get your answers to questions. If you are not a fast reader, you're going to have problem completing your reading test. And the reading test, in reading test, the time runs faster than normal. Once you begin, before you know Jack, you hear you have 20 minutes more. So you don't waste any time when you are treating your reading. Tackle your reading at your fastest pace. Just the way relay race is being done. Once you hear on your mark, get set, go. Everyone begins to run at his or her fastest pace, right? That is the way you should approach your reading test if you really want to complete it within the time you're given. Then the writing test also lasts for another 60 minutes. 60 minutes is equivalent to what? 1 hour. Perfect. Now, your writing test is divided into two categories called task 1 and 2. Your task 1, your task 1 will be letter. You're going for study. Your task 1 will be report writing. Yes. So yours will be letter. But you don't know the type of letter it will be. It will just be one question. You'll be the one to read the question and determine or decipher the type of letter it is. It's not usually written that this is so type of letter. You'll be the one to determine what type of letter it is from the question. While for you, you'll be given a question. It could be a pie chart, it could be a bar chart, it could be a line graph, it could be a table, infographic, histogram, pictograph, whatever it is. Just one question. So you then treat that question a reported information, right? So it's supposed to last for 20 minutes only. Now, the minimum number of words you are required or expected to write is 150 words. Do not write less than 150. You can write more, but don't write less. Okay? Perhaps. Then, the highest rate you can get from your task 1 is 33.31% of the total mark you get from your writing score. Task 1 alone gives you 33.31 out of the 100% of this. Now your task 2 lasts for 20 minutes. Your task 2 is essay. Your task 2 is essay. Right? So you get to write the essay for 40 minutes. And the minimum number of words you are expected or required to write is 250 words. Then the highest rate you get from essay is 66.69%. So that essay gives you more than 3 times what you get from task 1. Is that correct? If you look at the time is twice what is given for task 1. If you look at the number of words, just 50 more words added to task 2, it will become twice. Right? So you need to give it more attention, more effort. Okay? And then for you, Emeka, you should not begin your writing test using or from the task 1. Don't start your writing test with task 1 or from task 1. You will shoot yourself in the foot. Because task 1 would pin you down for over 25 to 30 minutes. A lot of things to write. You will see a lot of things to write. So you get carried away. You'll be so engrossed in it. And you get carried away. Start with task 2. When you're done, you can then go back to task 1. But for letter writing, of course, if you practice so much before your test, it's easy to treat letter. In 12 minutes, you should be done. 15 minutes maximum, you're done with letter writing. So you then go to your essay, right? Now let's look at the speaking test. The speaking test lasts for 10 to 15 minutes. There are 3 parts of the speaking test. Now look at these 3. Listening, reading, and writing. You're doing paper-based test, right? You're going to be writing it alongside over 2, 3, 4, 500 other test takers in a hall. Especially if it's on a Saturday. You will see so many other test takers in the hall. And then you'll be doing the listening, reading, writing the same time, but one after another, with other candidates or test takers. But you see your speaking test, it is just between you and the examiner. That's all. No other person. Just you and the examiner. It might be a physical examiner that's seated waiting for you. Or it might be a virtual examiner with somewhere in the country or somewhere outside the country, and they just connect the person, and the person is on the screen waiting for you. Right? So it's usually one-on-one for speaking test, but it lasts for 10 or 15 minutes. And then there are 3 parts. Okay, so these are the major things you should know about the IELTS test. So let's begin. Okay. So that's it about getting to have the full idea of what IELTS test is all about. You just need to prepare your mind. Some persons may have said to you that the exam is very difficult. Some persons may have told you that they have written it like 3 times, 4 times, 5. People you see as brains, high scholars, and they're writing IELTS like twice, 3 times, 4 times. So to you, you are asking yourself, me, how will I then do? You start doubting your chances. No. IELTS has nothing to do with qualification. I have a PhD holder that has failed IELTS. I'm not just PhD holder in English. Yes. So it's not about qualification. It's about understanding what you are expected to do and doing it right. Then working on yourself as regards the rudiments, foundational challenges such as spellings, reading fast, being a fast reader, being able to note where or identify where answers are. Master that. You'll pass your IELTS. Even if you're not going to come out so excellently, right? You'll get what you need for your application. That's what is very important. So you would need to put in a lot of effort. If you really want to pass IELTS, these are things you should do. Begin now to build your speaking skills by reducing the number of vernaculars you speak. You know, once you live here now, when you go out normal streets, madam, how far now? I didn't see the money again. No, what happened? Me, I know they like this kind of thing. If you not buy me something, when I pay you. Right? Or you go home, you are like, nah, can me. Arodikpa. You know, you speak your vernacular, right? That would affect your speaking test. You may be asked a very serious question. You see good English, you run away and leave you. Only you will be there. You won't know when you blow the background, examiner will shake and look at you. Right? So you need to build your good spoken English. Right? Build it so that when you're flowing, it will flow because you're already used to it. Do you understand? Then you also need to begin to read contents. Read. Most adults find it difficult to read. If you want to see whether an adult is serious, give the person a book to read. In 2 minutes, the person will shut down and sleep. It works. There are some children too. Depending on how the book is, There are some children too, if you want to punish them, give them books to read. Those children that play too much, talk too much, give them books to read. You have your peace because they will doze off after 30 seconds. They just fall like 3 that is become on the couch. And the book will just be there reading the child. So, but you need to build this culture. You need to begin to read. Because if you are not used to reading, it will be difficult to complete your reading test. That's the truth. And then you also find certain words in the IELTS reading test difficult to understand because you are not used to such vocabularies. And then writing, you need to begin to work on your spellings. I'm not saying start writing, no. You may not necessarily need to write to prepare for writing. You don't necessarily need to write to prepare for writing test. But you need to work on your spellings. You need to build vocabularies, right? And then you need to lay hands on different topical issues, different question types in IELTS. When you find them, give yourself like 4 to 5 minutes and think, ponder, think about how best you would solve that question on the day of your exam. Think of the strong points you can use. By doing that, you are feeding your brain in case such question comes. The brain will bring it out. You have seen it before, right? So these are ways you want to. Then for your listening test, don't base solely on your Nigerian movies. Mama Nkechi, you don't go steal pikin. Now police catch up. Grab your copies. Nah. If that's what you do, it's going to affect your listening test because that's not the type of English they speak. If you also watch foreign contents, movies, and you're watching the one with subtitles, you know what we do when you're watching movies with subtitles? Your eyes are there, you are reading.
I have a question. Because based on the listening test, because I remember when we did the listening test, and I thought I did not score very well in the listening test. So it's more like how can we, what is the most effective way to listen better?
Le- Taking on your listening test.
Yes.
Fine. We shall get into the training. We've not started the training yet. So you get to that level. Right? So I'm just giving you tips on how to begin to prepare yourself for IELTS exam. That's why I said it has nothing to do with your qualification. Even those who have the highest degrees fail IELTS. Right? So it depends on how much time you put in preparing for it. That's what determines your success in one attempt. All right, so that's all about IELTS. Let's now go into the next phase.